Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Chinenye Nwoye. First, let's bring you the headlines. Christians in Nigeria join their counterparts the world over to celebrate Easter as Pope meets with U.S. Vice President in a private discussion at Easter. Nigeria explores potentials of entering multi-billion-dollar animal feeds industry with support of African Union. And Nigeria police extradite murder suspect from Qatar. Many thanks for joining us and happy Easter to all Nigerians. Easter Sunday in Abuja was marked by vibrant church services as Christians gathered to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Worshippers filled various denominations with services characterized by hymns, prayers, and reflections on the significance of the day. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
The message of resurrection of Jesus Christ resonated at Our Lady Queen of Nigeria Catholic Pro Cathedral, Abuja, as the priest preached the sermon of hope for the faithful.
Jesus resurrected from the dead, and by his resurrection he conquered and crushed death and the power of the grave. And by so doing, he tells us that there is life beyond the grave.
At Church of Epiphany, Anglican Communion, it was the celebration of liberation and victory as signified by the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
But by the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, he paid the price and died on the cross. And he resurrected, destroying the power of sin and death, giving us freedom, liberation, deliverance, healing, and salvation.
Reverend Prince Plangnan Dayak of Cooking Church, Gwarempa, urged the congregation to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ and live a life of purpose.
The church cannot be glorified without result. Jesus came, sacrificed his last blood, and that last blood was meant that the sin of the entire universe be taken off.
At the Christ Apostolic Church, Jabi, the message focused on the sacrifice that Jesus made for the redemption of mankind.
We have sinned, the whole world have sinned, and we have come short of the glory of God. So Jesus Christ came, offered himself, that is the sacrifice, and offered himself for the redemption of a man and reconciliation of man to God. And that is exactly what we are celebrating today.
Amid prayers for the nation and messages of hope, church leaders urged Nigerians to embrace peace, resilience, and compassion in the face of challenges. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
And Christians across the country have been urged to see the Easter season as an opportunity to promote unity, compassion, and selfless service to humanity. This is the center point of messages of Easter delivered by Christian clerics, including the Bishop Catholic Diocese of Ijebu-Ode, Reverend Father Francis Adeshino, while celebrating the victory of Jesus Christ over death. Anthony Gandon has the details.
Of victory and dances characterized Easter Sunday services held in Ijebu-Ode. Sermons by Christian clerics in various churches, including the Bishop Catholic Diocese of Ijebu, the Reverend Father Francis Adeshino, centered on the power of the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the purpose of the death of Jesus Christ, which was to reconcile mankind to God.
The Easter message is that we must be hopeful. The Easter message is that in spite of all difficulties, Nigerians, Christians, we are built by the grace of the resurrection to overcome all our pains, all our struggles, all our disasters. We are overcomers.
And how to live our life like the way Christ has shown us. It is a demonstrate humility and openness in his lifestyle. And in that regard, we appeal to every members that are listening that they should oblige to the way Christ lived his life.
The clergymen therefore encouraged Christians to reflect on the values of love, sacrifice, and forgiveness, which are the core values of the Easter celebration. This season calls for a deeper commitment to help one another and building a nation where peace and mutual respect thrive. In Ijebu, Anthony Gandono, NTA.
Pope Francis appeared at the Vatican's St. Peter's Square to wish Happy Easter to thousands of worshippers, appealing for a cease of war across the world, especially in Gaza. The Pope, 88, came out in a wheelchair and waved from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica to cheering crowds below. His appearance had been eagerly anticipated following his discharge from hospital last month after 5 weeks of treatment for an infection that led to double pneumonia. Earlier this morning, Pope Francis held a brief private meeting with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance at the Casa Santa Marta. The meeting, which lasted only a few minutes, provided an opportunity for the two to exchange Easter greetings. Vice President Vance met Cardinal Pietro Parolin regarding international relations, religious freedom, and humanitarian concerns. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, has called on Nigerians to embrace peace and renew their love and hope for Nigeria. In a statement by the Director of Information, Fumi Imetenyang, the minister urged Christians to reflect on the symbol of Easter, which is hope, renewal, and a new life in Christ. This celebration inspires us to reflect on the fundamentals of the festival, which centers on the victory of life over death, light over darkness, and the triumph of God's love for humanity. The minister urged Nigerians to continue to pray for the manifestation of God's plans for the nation. He restated his unwavering commitment to implement policies and programs of President Tinubu in the water and sanitation sector to ensure that every Nigerian enjoy access to clean and safe water, as well as improved sanitation. The people of Maidoti and Gbelebu communities in Ovia southwest local government areas of Edo State, whose means of livelihood and shelter were destroyed during the recent communal clash, had cause to celebrate the Easter in a brighter mood following the state government's donation of some relief materials. Goodluck Inaine reports that the Executive Secretary, Edo State Emergency Management Agency, Edosema Jerry Idahosa, presented the items on behalf of the governor.
In February this year, there was a communal clash between Maidoti community and their neighboring Ijaw-speaking people of Gbelebu community, with many lives lost and properties including farm produce worth millions of naira destroyed. The governor, on mediation visit to the area, promised government intervention. This donation of food items to the two communities, in addition to the cash donation, is in fulfillment of that promise. The Executive Secretary, Edo State Emergency Management Agency, Edosema Jerry Idahosa, represented the governor.
Part of the promises of His Excellency to this committee was that he was going to stand with them to ensure that peace is restored to this community, and also to help build homes and properties that were destroyed. By God's grace, the governor have kept to his words.
The benefiting communities appreciate the governor for the restoration of lost hopes.
He has come to fulfill his promise. The entire community is very happy.
Because no any governor that have done something like this, apart from rice, apart from the money, this is now coming up.
This is one of the ways Governor Mondopa will believe he can restore peace to these warring communities. Now that peace has been restored, development can be enhanced. In Benin, Goodluck Inaine, NTA News.
Festive seasons are usually burdened with huge vehicular movements. One of such presently is the Easter celebration. Guarding against road crashes, the Federal Road Safety Corps Anambra State Command is educating the motoring public on safe road practices. Onome Okadibo reports.
Sharing flyers within Oka Metropolis On safety measures, the officers and men of the Federal Road Safety Corps visited gridlock-prone areas to sensitize the public on road safety during the festive period in order to achieve zero fatalities during the Easter celebration. The Federal Road Safety Corps commander said personnel and logistics have been deployed across the state to provide support to road users, noting that the Corps will strictly enforce traffic rules and regulation.
And still on Easter, various churches across the country marked Easter with various exhortations and the central theme of love, peace, harmony, sacrifice, and repentance. Correspondents from Maiduguri, Mina, and Ibadan sent in highlights from various denominations. We'll bring you this report in the course of the bulletin. Thousands of displaced Sudanese are continuing to arrive in Tawila after fleeing last week's paramilitary offensive on Zamzam camp that the UN say killed hundreds, including children and aid workers. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
According to Doctors Without Borders, thousands left the camp following an attack by the Rapid Support Forces and moved to communities already besieged and without life-saving aid. A few more made the journey to Tawila camp, where the aid agency is operating. Aid agencies have registered appeals to put an end to the siege and the atrocities, to allow those who wish to flee to do so safely and deliver humanitarian aid, including by airdropping food and medicine to El Fasher if necessary. A non-governmental organization said about 1,600 patients have required emergency services in Tawila, mainly because of severe dehydration. The United Nations Migration Agency said the RSF attacks in Zamzam camp have displaced between 60,000 to 80,000 families in the first 2 days following the assault. Majority of the families remain within El Fasher, the neighboring capital city of the North Darfur, which is under military control but had been besieged by the RSF for over a year. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Partners of Ukrainian soldiers keep waiting as war drags on with no end in sight, and hopes keep fading regarding being with each other again. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
Katrina Halushka.
To end TB in Nigeria. Together we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Many thanks for staying on. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA's oldest active astronaut, has returned to Earth on 70th birthday. Report says NASA's oldest 7 astronaut, Don Petit, became a septuagenarian while hurtling towards the Earth in a spacecraft to wrap up a 7-month mission abroad, the International Space Station. NASA, which landed in Cascatan on Sunday, the day of Petit's milestone birthday, is the 4th space flight for Petit, logged more than 18 months in orbit throughout his 29-year career. NASA images of the landing showed the small capsule parachuting down to Earth with the sunrise as a backdrop. The astronauts gave thumbs-up gestures as rescuers carried them from the spacecraft to an inflatable medical tent. NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, a United States government agency responsible for space exploration, research, and technology development related to air and space. Nigeria is exploring the potential of entering the multi-billion-dollar animal feeds industry. The government aims to accomplish this with the support of the African Union's Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
Despite having the largest livestock population in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria's animal feed and fodder industry remains underdeveloped. Many livestock owners in the country rely on free grazing areas for their animals' sustenance. This dependence has contributed to migration and conflict due to competition for land and water resources with farmers.
Feed and fodder need to be looked at as business, because once we have feed and fodder for livestock, it contributes to food security, contributes to well-being and human nutrition security.
The African Union Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources has identified a $1 billion investment opportunity for Nigeria's feed and fodder sector.
The project has worked with the International Livestock Research Institute, ILRI, to prepare the inventory and the balance sheet for the animal feed and fodder in Nigeria and the other countries. Besides that, we have developed the animal feed and fodder dashboard, which will be capturing the production and the availability of feed and fodder, and where there is a gap or a shortage, this will be captured by this system and dashboard.
This conference, attended by relevant stakeholders, aims to analyze the animal feed business. The theme of the conference is harnessing food and fodder data for sustainable livestock sector development, resilience and stability. Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, emphasized Nigeria's potential to attract investment, enhance productivity, and strengthen the resilience of livestock farmers across the country.
Feed and fodder industry that not only supports national food security, but also positions Nigeria as a livestock powerhouse in Africa. And there is no doubt about that. If you look at the mandate of the ministry, our resolve, the energy we have brought to this engagement today, our market size and geopolitical position, we will certainly become a powerhouse to be reckoned with.
Reports indicate that this initiative is making a positive impact in Cameroon, Uganda, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Somalia. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu congratulates the Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, on her 45th birthday. President Tinubu describes her as a reform-minded and result-driven public servant whose leadership has brought renewed clarity and vigor to Nigeria's national gender agenda. The president acknowledges the minister's role in positioning Nigeria as a global voice on gender equity, championing the domestication of international commitments and reforming institutional frameworks. President Tinubu commends her commitment to the renewed hope agenda and her discipline and diligence, and wishes the minister good health and strength as she continues to advance the cause of justice, equity, and opportunity for all Nigerians. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu warmly felicitates Chief Justin Ezala, former Managing Director of NNPC Gas Marketing Limited, on his 60th birthday. President Tinubu acknowledges Chief Ezala's remarkable contributions to Nigeria's energy sector, particularly his pivotal role in driving critical gas infrastructure projects, including significant supply agreements and strategic partnerships that continue to enhance the nation's economic growth. The President commends Chief Ezala's commitment to excellence, integrity, and impactful leadership, qualities that have defined his career and earned him widespread respect within the industry and beyond. As Chief Ezala marks this special day, President Tinubu wishes him good health, happiness, and success in all his future endeavors. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have intercepted a shipment of cocaine concealed in 20 sets of religious books going to Saudi Arabia. The cocaine consignment, consisting of 20 parcels with a total weight of 500 grams, and buried in the pages of the religious books was uncovered at a courier company in Lagos when NDLEA officers were searching through export cargoes going to Saudi Arabia at the logistics firm. At another courier company same day, NDLEA officers intercepted 5 parcels of loud, a strong strain of cannabis weighing 2.8 kilograms, hidden in a carton coming from the United States of America. In Kano, a 22-year-old supplier of illicit substances to bandits, Muhammad Mohammed, has been arrested by NDLEA operatives on patrol along Bichi Kano Road while heading to Katsina with 277 ampoules of pentazocine injection tied to his thigh and private part with sellotape. Let's now join our correspondent Lanre Bwelei on the latest development on the site of the building collapse in Ojodu Bega area of Lagos State.
According to National Emergency Management Agency, the statement they gave us, we have 13 survivors and 5 mortalities. This is also the number agreed upon by Lagos State Emergency Management Agency.
We are able to rescue 13 people alive. Those that were rescued are receiving adequate treatment. However, we sympathize with those people that have lost their beloved ones. The fatalities in these incidents is 5. In all the cordons, we are approaching ground zero, slowly, steadily.
In terms of participation of my men, they are actively involved because most of the victims that were rescued during the event were transported using our ambulance and those of other agencies.
I also have Mr. Ige from Records. They've been here since yesterday when this sad development happened, and they've been, monitoring survivors and so on and so forth, giving first aid treatment to people that survived this ugly incident. Mr. Ige, can you give me a brief recap? Since you've started yesterday, you've been here, you've been working around the clock.
Doing our best, working with other stakeholders, evacuating the injured, and in total, we have evacuated about 11 casualties.
From your own side?
From our own side, yes. And you can see we have treated series of injuries as bleeding, fracture, wounds.
Right now what is going on is that the emergency agencies are digging through the crevices and looking at the crannies of certain survivors and to bring a closure to the sad development that happened here. In Lagos, Lanre Bwelei, NTA News.
Having been on the run to evade prosecution for the murder of his girlfriend in 2023, the long arm of the law has finally caught up with Benjamin Best Nnayerugo, known as Killer Boy, whose extradition from Doha, Qatar, has been completed by Nigeria police in collaboration with the Interpol National Central Bureau Force Headquarters, Abuja, and Qatari judicial authorities. Musa Toliat reports that the Interpol NCB has handed over the murder suspect to the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, for diligent prosecution.
The extradition of the murder suspect, Benjamin Best, alias Killer Boy, followed a petition submitted by the family of 21-year-old Augusta Onuabagbe, said to have been murdered by the suspect in 2023 and had been on the run since committing the dastardly act.
On the instruction of the Inspector General of Police,
this gathering is therefore a formal handing over of the extradited murder suspect from the Commissioner of Police, Interpol Annex Lagos, to the Commissioner of Police, Lagos Police Command, on the orders of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetogun.
I equally hand over exhibits recovered from the suspect and other items for the command further action.
We have taken over from CP Olupode Ojajuni, the CP Interpol Lagos, the suspect wanted by this command for quite some time now, getting to like 2 years. He committed the crime of murder on the 13th day of July 2023. Investigation, and we are going to expand our investigation to cover all crimes that himself and his gang must have committed.
The successful extradition operation underscores the strength in international collaboration and the commitment by Nigeria police to track down and bring fugitives to justice, regardless of the location outside the country. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And that's the news on NTA International. Many thanks for watching. I am Chinenye Nwoye.